They dropped cadets on a Class 7 death world until the human returned with a tan and a pet. Then they stopped using survival training as a standardized assessment and started creating species-specific protocols with special notations for humans that included phrases like recreational outcomes and inappropriate adoption behaviors. Let me tell you about the day I learned that dropping a human on a hostile planet is less like survival training and more like sending a tourist to a resort where everything is trying to kill them, but they somehow interpret that as entertainment. Spoiler alert, the human not only survived but apparently had a great time and made friends with the local apex predator. My name is Commandant Vrel Korix, Director of Field Training for the Galactic Military Academy, and I have designed survival assessment protocols for 43 different planetary environments over 29 standard cycles. I have supervised the training of over 8,000 cadets from 74 different species, personally certified 127 different hostile environment survival courses, and written the definitive manual on graduated challenge assessment for military personnel. Point is, I know survival training. I understand how to create controlled danger that tests candidates without actually killing them, how to calibrate difficulty for different species capabilities, what separates effective training from negligent hazard exposure. I can predict with 91% accuracy which cadets will pass survival assessments based on their preliminary evaluations and physical specifications. Until the human. The assessment was standard protocol for advanced military certification. All candidates must demonstrate ability to survive 10 days alone on a hostile world with minimal equipment. No communication devices, no extraction options before the scheduled pickup, no assistance from instructors or other cadets. Just the candidate, basic survival gear, and whatever skills they had developed through training. We used different planets for different capability levels. Class 3 worlds for basic certification, Class 5 worlds for intermediate, Class 7 worlds for advanced military specialists who would be operating in genuinely dangerous environments. Class 7 designation meant a planet with multiple lethal threats, aggressive fauna, toxic or dangerous flora, environmental hazards, and overall conditions that made survival genuinely difficult even for well-prepared individuals. The planet we used for this particular assessment was Cathis 9, a jungle world with the following documented hazards: temperatures ranging from 38 to 45 degrees Celsius during day cycles, humidity averaging 87%, carnivorous megafauna exceeding 3 meters in height, venomous plants and animals, aggressive insect swarms, quicksand zones, flash flooding during frequent storm systems, and approximately 67 different documented threats that could kill an unprepared explorer. Survival rate for properly trained military specialists was approximately 94%. The 6% who failed typically required emergency extraction due to injury, illness, or equipment failure. We had lost only 3 cadets in 15 years of using Cathis 9, and all 3 deaths were due to candidates ignoring safety protocols rather than inadequate preparation. It was dangerous but manageable with proper training, which made it ideal for assessing advanced candidates. Cadet James Morrison was human, approximately 183 centimeters tall, athletic build suggesting regular physical conditioning, with light brown hair, pale skin prone to sun damage according to his medical file, and these blue eyes that seemed to assess everything with casual interest rather than appropriate concern. His preliminary evaluations were good, not exceptional but solidly competent. He had passed all prerequisite courses, demonstrated adequate wilderness skills, and showed reasonable judgment during training scenarios. Nothing about his profile suggested he would be a problem. Nothing about his profile suggested he would be a problem in ways that had nothing to do with failure and everything to do with treating a Class 7 death world like a vacation destination. Cadet Morrison, I said during his pre-deployment briefing. You'll be on Cathis 9 for 10 days. Your objectives are simple: survive, reach the extraction point 40 kilometers from your drop location, and document your survival strategies for assessment. The environment is extremely hostile. Take every threat seriously, maintain constant vigilance, and prioritize safety over speed. Understood, sir, Morrison said, his tone respectful, but I detected something underneath that I couldn't quite identify. Not nervousness exactly, more like anticipation. This is not an adventure, I emphasized. This is a genuine survival scenario in an environment that will kill you if you make mistakes. Approximately 67 documented hazards, multiple apex predators, environmental conditions that cause heat exhaustion in most species. Do you understand the severity? Yes, sir. I've read all the briefing materials. Cathis 9 sounds challenging, I repeated. Cadet Morrison, 3 people have died on this planet during training. Challenging is insufficient descriptor. This is lethal, I understand, sir, Morrison said, and there was that expression again, something I couldn't quite read. I'll take appropriate precautions. We deployed 6 cadets simultaneously to different zones of Cathis 9, standard protocol to prevent collaboration while allowing us to monitor multiple candidates with shared resources. Morrison was dropped in Zone 7, a particularly difficult section with dense jungle, active predator territories, and a river system that had to be navigated carefully to reach extraction. Each cadet received standard survival gear, basic cutting tool, fire starting kit, water purification supplies, emergency medical pack, and a distress beacon that would trigger extraction if activated. No food, no weapons beyond the tool, no communication except the emergency beacon. 10 days to reach a point 40 kilometers away through hostile jungle. Most cadets took 8 to 9 days, moving carefully, avoiding hazards, prioritizing survival over speed. The first 3 days of Morrison's assessment were unremarkable. He moved at reasonable pace, made appropriate camp, demonstrated competent fire starting and shelter building, avoided obvious hazards. His biometric monitor showed elevated stress initially but nothing concerning. Standard performance that suggested he would complete the course without incident. Day 4, things started getting unusual. Morrison's movement pattern changed. Instead of the careful, paranoid navigation we expected, he started moving with more confidence, taking routes that weren't necessarily safer but were definitely faster. His stress indicators dropped to near baseline levels, which was unexpected for someone in a hostile environment. He's adapting quickly, my assistant instructor Kvalek observed, monitoring Morrison's biosigns. Too quickly. Most species take 6 or 7 days to fully acclimate to Cathis 9's conditions. He's comfortable after 3 days, maybe he has better stress management than predicted, I suggested. Or maybe he's not perceiving the threats appropriately. Monitor closely. Overconfidence kills people on Class 7 Worlds. Day 5, Morrison encountered his first major predator, a Kethrak, one of the apex carnivores that made this planet so dangerous. 3 meters tall, 6-limbed, capable of climbing and swimming, with sensory organs that could track prey across kilometers. They were ambush hunters that typically killed quickly and efficiently. Our protocol when cadets encountered Kethraks was immediate extraction. The risk was too high for training purposes. But Morrison didn't activate his beacon. The biomonitors showed his heart rate elevate appropriately for danger recognition, then something strange happened. Instead of fleeing or hiding, Morrison approached the Kethrak. What is he doing? Kvalek demanded, watching the tracking data. That's suicide. Kethraks are aggressive toward anything that enters their territory. Prepare emergency extraction, I ordered. If that creature attacks, we won't have time for standard beacon protocols, but the Kethrak didn't attack. The visual feed from Morrison's area, captured by monitoring drones we kept at high altitude, showed something that made absolutely no sense according to known Kethrak behavior patterns. Morrison was offering the creature food. Not his own rations, he didn't have any, but something he had apparently hunted or gathered. Some kind of local prey animal, already dead, extended toward the Kethrak in a non-threatening gesture. The Kethrak approached cautiously, took the offering, consumed it. Then it did something that we had never documented in Kethrak behavior studies. It sat down. Just settled onto its haunches in a posture that suggested it was waiting for something. Morrison sat down too, about 3 meters from the apex predator, and appeared to be talking to it. Are we certain that's a Kethrak? I asked. Could it be a different species that looks similar? Genetic scanner confirms it's a Kethrak, Kvalek said. Adult, probably 400 kilograms, definitely capable of killing Morrison instantly. It's just choosing not to. Why is it choosing not to? I have no idea, Kvalek admitted. This is completely outside documented behavior patterns. Morrison spent approximately 45 minutes with the Kethrak, just sitting near it, occasionally making sounds that the audio feed picked up as conversational tone, though obviously the creature couldn't understand human language. Then Morrison stood, appeared to say something to the Kethrak, and walked away. The creature watched him leave but didn't follow or attack. Did that human just make friends with an apex predator? Kvalek asked quietly. That's impossible. Kethraks are solitary, territorial, aggressive. They don't form social bonds with other species. Apparently they do, I said, watching the replay. Or Morrison has some ability we didn't account for in his assessment. Day 6, Morrison encountered the Kethrak again. Or possibly the Kethrak found Morrison. The creature approached his camp in early morning, and instead of responding with appropriate fear, Morrison greeted it like an expected visitor. He shared more food, this time something he had caught in a trap he had apparently constructed. The Kethrak consumed the offering, then settled near Morrison's camp in a posture that looked remarkably like companionship. "He's domesticated it," I said in disbelief. "In less than 48 hours, that human has somehow befriended a solitary apex predator that normally attacks anything in its territory. How is that possible?" Kvalek asked. "Domestication requires generations of selective breeding and controlled interaction. I don't know," I admitted. "But they're clearly comfortable with each other. That's not random animal behavior. That's a relationship." Days 7 through 9, Morrison and the Kethrak traveled together. The creature actually accompanied Morrison through the jungle, and other predators visibly avoided the area when they detected the Kethrak's presence. Morrison's survival assessment had transformed from a test of individual capability into a cooperative journey with an apex predator as a companion. "This is unprecedented," I reported to the Academy Oversight Committee. "The cadet has not only survived, he's thriving. His stress levels are lower than baseline. He's moving faster than any previous candidate. And he's somehow convinced a territorial predator to serve as a traveling companion and security asset. Is he cheating somehow?" one committee member asked. "Did he bring unauthorized equipment that's attracting or controlling the animal?" "All equipment was verified before deployment," I said. "He has nothing that would explain this. It appears to be entirely based on his interaction with the creature." "What happens at extraction?" another member asked. "We bring the cadet back. The creature stays on the planet." "Does Morrison know that?" "It's standard protocol. He should understand that wildlife remains in native habitat." Day 10, extraction day, Morrison reached the pickup point with 6 hours to spare. Fastest time ever recorded for the Cathis 9 course. He was accompanied by the Kethrak, which had followed him to the extraction zone and settled nearby in what looked like a protective posture. And Morrison looked remarkably good for someone who had spent 10 days in hostile jungle. His skin was darker than deployment, tanned from sun exposure despite the jungle canopy. His movements were relaxed and confident. He had actually gained weight, suggesting he had been eating well rather than struggling with minimal nutrition. He looked like someone returning from a successful camping trip, not someone who had been surviving in an environment that could kill him dozens of different ways. The extraction shuttle landed, and I disembarked personally to conduct the retrieval assessment. "Cadet Morrison," I said formally. "Congratulations on completing the survival course. Preliminary assessment suggests you performed exceptionally. Please board for return transport." "Thank you, sir," Morrison said. "It was actually pretty fun." "Cathis 9 is beautiful this time of year." "Fun," I repeated. "You describe surviving a Class 7 deathworld as fun." "I mean, yeah," Morrison said. "The weather was great once you got used to it. The jungle has amazing biodiversity. The hunting was excellent. And I made a friend." He gestured at the Kethrak. "This is Buddy. Well, I call him Buddy. I don't know if Kethraks have names for themselves. You named the apex predator Buddy." It seemed appropriate. "He's been very helpful. Scared off some other predators, helped me locate water sources, kept me company at night. Very friendly once you establish trust." "Kethraks are not friendly," I said. "They're documented as aggressive, territorial, solitary predators." "Maybe they're just lonely," Morrison suggested. "Buddy seems to enjoy having someone to hang out with. We get along great." The Kethrak made a low rumbling sound that Morrison apparently interpreted as communication because he responded, "I know, Buddy. I have to go. But you'll be okay here. There's plenty of food, you know the good hunting spots now. You'll be fine." He turned back to me. "Sir, I have a request. Is there any way Buddy can come with us? I know it's unusual, but we've bonded. Feels wrong to just abandon him here." "Cadet Morrison, that's a 400-kilogram apex predator from a hostile world. It cannot be transported off-planet as a personal pet. That's completely against regulations, environmental protocols, and basic common sense." "He's well behaved," Morrison said. "And he really likes me." "Look." Morrison approached the Kethrak and actually started scratching behind one of its sensory organs in a gesture that looked absurdly like petting a domesticated companion animal. The Kethrak leaned into the contact, making that rumbling sound again, clearly enjoying the attention. "This is insane," Falek said over the comm system. "That human is petting a creature that could disembowel him with one strike." "Yeah, but he won't," Morrison said, apparently hearing the communication. "Buddy's not aggressive unless threatened. He's actually really gentle once you get to know him. Very intelligent too. I think Kethraks might be a lot smarter than your research suggests." "Your request to bring the Kethrak off-world is denied," I said firmly. "It remains in native habitat. You board the shuttle." Now Morrison looked genuinely sad about this, which was bizarre. He had known the creature for less than a week, and now he was emotionally attached to an apex predator like it was a family pet. "Can I at least visit?" Morrison asked. "Come back and check on him. Make sure he's doing okay. This is a restricted training world, not a tourist destination," I said. "You will not be returning to Cathis 9. Morrison said goodbye to the Kethrak, which involved more petting and what appeared to be genuine affection from both parties. The creature watched Morrison board the shuttle with body language that suggested distress at the separation. It was the most absurd thing I had ever witnessed in 3 decades of military training. During the flight back to the academy, I conducted Morrison's debriefing. "Cadet Morrison, explain how you established a relationship with a Kethrak." "I offered him food," Morrison said simply. "He was hunting near my camp on day 4, and I had caught some local prey animals in traps I set up. I left one out as an offering, basically saying, 'I'm not a threat and I'm willing to share resources.' He accepted the offering, which suggested he was at least willing to tolerate my presence. So I kept sharing food, kept my body language non-threatening, and gradually established trust." "That's domestication strategy," I said. "But domestication requires generations, not days." "Initial bonding doesn't require generations," Morrison corrected. "That's just the first step. Humans have been befriending wild animals for thousands of years on Earth. We're really good at forming cross-species bonds. It's one of our survival adaptations, actually. Early humans befriended wolves and turned them into dogs. We've domesticated everything from cats to horses to elephants. Befriending a Kethrak is just applying the same basic principles. Earth must be extraordinarily dangerous if humans needed to befriend predators for survival." "Earth is a class 12 death world," Morrison said. "Everything there is dangerous. So humans learn to make allies out of the dangerous things. Easier to survive when the apex predators are working with you instead of hunting you. Plus, companionship. Humans are social creatures. We bond with pretty much anything that shows willingness to bond back, even creatures that could kill you. Especially creatures that could kill us," Morrison said. "The more dangerous something is, the more valuable it is as an ally. Buddy kept me completely safe from other threats. Having a 400-kilogram apex predator as a friend meant nothing else on that planet would mess with me." "That's excellent survival strategy." I reviewed his recorded data over the following days, and Morrison's assessment scores were exceptional. Fastest completion time, lowest stress indicators, best overall health metrics, successful navigation of all major hazards, and creative problem solving that included befriending local wildlife for mutual benefit. By every measurable standard, he had passed with the highest performance rating we had ever recorded. The oversight committee was less impressed by the methodology. "He broke protocol," Commandant Thex said during the review board. "Interacting with apex predators is explicitly forbidden in survival training. He should be disciplined, not commended." "He survived using available resources," I countered. The Kethrak became a resource through Morrison's initiative and skill. "That's creative problem solving that demonstrates exactly the kind of adaptability we want in field officers." "He could have been killed," another member protested. "That's true," I acknowledged. "But he wasn't. He assessed the risk, developed a strategy for mitigation, and successfully befriended a dangerous animal that became a significant survival asset. That shows remarkable judgment and capability, or remarkable luck and stupidity," Thex said. "How do we know this will work again? Maybe the Kethrak was aberrant. Maybe Morrison just got lucky." "There's one way to find out," I said. "We deploy Morrison to other hostile worlds and see if he can replicate the results. If it's aberrant luck, he fails. If it's genuine skill, he succeeds consistently." Over the next year, we deployed Morrison to 5 additional hostile worlds as experimental assessment. Class 6 Desert World, he befriended a pack of sand hunters and learned to predict water location from their behavior. Class 8 Ice World, he He established symbiotic relationship with thermal-generating organisms that kept him warm and helped him navigate. Class 5 Swamp World, he somehow communicated with semi-aquatic predators and got them to assist with catching food. Every single deployment, Morrison not only survived but thrived, often returning with a tan, improved physical condition, and friendships with local fauna that should have been trying to kill him. It's not luck, I reported to the Oversight Committee after the 6th successful deployment. Morrison has genuine ability to form cross-species bonds and utilize local wildlife as survival resources. This is a reproducible skill set, not random fortune. How common is this capability among humans? The committee asked. I don't know, I admitted. But based on Morrison's explanations, it seems to be a cultural practice on Earth. Humans routinely befriend dangerous animals. They have an entire domestication history spanning thousands of years. This isn't unusual for humans. It's apparently normal. That's terrifying, Thex said quietly. Species that can befriend apex predators as casual survival strategy, that's valuable, I corrected. Species with that capability are enormous assets in hostile environments. Morrison has demonstrated skills that exceed any other candidate from any other species. He should be utilized accordingly. Morrison graduated with highest honors and was immediately recruited for xenobiology and first contact operations. His ability to establish rapport with alien life forms made him invaluable for missions requiring interaction with unknown species. Over the following years, he successfully negotiated with 6 different previously hostile civilizations by somehow befriending their leadership through methods that nobody quite understood but consistently worked. I visited him 5 years after his graduation when he was serving as lead xenobiologist on a deep space exploration vessel. Cadet Morrison, or I suppose it's Lieutenant Commander Morrison now, I wanted to ask you about your survival assessments. Sure, sir. What about them? How did you know the Kethrak wouldn't kill you when you first approached it? Morrison was quiet for a moment. I didn't know for certain. But I understood body language, threat assessment, the way predators behave when they're hunting versus when they're just monitoring territory. Buddy wasn't in hunting mode. He was curious. So I offered something that suggested mutual benefit. Food for tolerance. Most intelligent species understand that trade. You gambled your life on reading animal body language. I gambled my life on understanding that most intelligent creatures prefer cooperation to conflict when given viable options, Morrison corrected. Buddy could have killed me easily. But killing me provided no benefit once I demonstrated I wasn't a threat and could offer resources. Cooperation was more valuable than aggression. That's not gambling. That's understanding incentive structures. Most species don't think that way about apex predators. Most species don't come from class 12 death worlds where befriending dangerous things was survival necessity, Morrison said. Humans are weird, sir. We know that. But our weirdness is really useful in hostile environments. We see potential allies where everyone else sees threats. That's what makes us good at surviving places that kill everyone else. You ever think about Buddy? I asked. The Kethrak from Cathis, 9. All the time, Morrison admitted. I know it sounds strange, but we bonded. I hope he's doing well. Maybe found some other Kethraks to hang out with. Maybe taught them that not everything is a threat, he smiled. Maybe in a few generations, Kethraks will be less aggressive because one of them learned that cooperation has benefits. That would be nice. They dropped cadets on a class 7 death world until the human returned with a tan and a pet. Then everyone learned that humans don't just survive hostile environments, they make friends with the hostile parts and turn survival assessment into social networking opportunities with apex predators. That's not normal survival strategy, that's treating every dangerous creature as a potential friend who just needs the right introduction. My name is Commandant Vrel Korix, and I used to think survival training meant teaching cadets to avoid and evade threats. Now I understand that human survival training apparently includes befriending threats and turning them into assets through nothing but food offerings and genuine affection. That's not what the protocols are designed to assess, but it's infinitely more effective than any standard survival technique. Because while other species are hiding from predators, humans are apparently making friends with them and getting assistance that makes the entire survival exercise trivially easy. Cadet Morrison demonstrated that principle by turning a Class 7 death world into a vacation where he got a tan, improved his physical fitness, and adopted an apex predator that he named Buddy and genuinely cared about. That's not survival. That's tourism with benefits. And it's apparently completely normal for humans who view dangerous wildlife as potential friends rather than inevitable threats.